Hey, what's going on everyone? My name is Gazza. Welcome back to the vlog. Just a very quick introduction. We've got a full list of 5-5-10 players today. Looking forward to the game. I didn't play that well in the last session, even when I was sober. I didn't play my best and then got drunk and then wailed about. Today, A game, pure focus, pure zen. I am going to be a poker master. Let's get straight into the action. Let's check out some hands. As mentioned in the intro, I am going to be focused on playing well today and not being all loosey-goosey eating a sandwich. It takes 30 minutes before I play any significant pots of note, and then the action explodes for an hour. I'm under the gun with a couple of J-boys. The straddle is on, so I make it $60 to go. The big blind makes the call, as does the straddle. We're three ways to a very safe-looking 10-6 deuce rainbow. I throw out a C-bet for $125. This is going to get called by the small blind. We go heads up to the turn, which is a full rainbow king. I've still got the best hand really often here, so I keep betting for value to the tune of $275. The big blind is then going to check raise me to $800. This is not an all-in, but he doesn't have much behind. I've played with this guy a bit in the past, and he's definitely capable of bluffing his ass off here, but he's also capable of owning me with a hand like King-Queen if he's got that. Eventually, I decide that this time he's bluffing. I shove for a few $100 more. He makes a very quick call. We agree to go twice, and after two complete bricks, I show him my jacks, and he shows me King Deuce offsuit. It is the third session in a row, guys, that I've been stacked early on, kind of starting to think that I thrive being stuck early on. I pay the man his money and I rebuy for the $1,500 cap. The only good thing about this is the straddle is going to stay on, which is a good thing. And next up, I'm in the middle blind with King Queen offsuit. The hijack raises to $60. The cutoff makes the call. Squeezing definitely an option here, but I know I've got very little fold equity, so I decide to just flat call. This is going to bring in the big blind and the straddle. We go five ways to the flop here, which is a very wet 10-9-7. It checks all the way around to the cutoff, who takes a stab for $175. I've got a nut shot and two overs, so I make the call. The straddle 6 round as well, three ways to the turn, which is the ace of spades. How sick would a red jack have been there? The turn is going to check all the way through, and when the 5 of diamond rolls off in the river, I decide against bluffing. I check, as do the other two players. The cutoff is going to scoop in this one with Queen 10 offsuit. Very fun multi-way hand here. Down about $2,300 so far today, but not sweating it one bit. And next up, I'm in the middle blind with ace queen offsuit. There's been a limp for 20. The button makes it 120 to go, and I put in the re-raise to $400. The button makes a call. He's the guy who stacked me earlier, looking for revenge here, and the Queen Jack rainbow flop isn't a bad start. I throw out a C-bet for $225. This gets a very quick call from the button. To the turn, it's the deuce of diamonds. I decide to check it on over to the button, who doesn't take long in announcing that he's all in. I'm, of course, not folding. If he's got me, he's got me. We agree to go twice. The first river is a king, and the second river is a queen. He shows me King 10 of diamonds. Kind of a big hold there after losing the first one. Boring old shot pot, but that could have been a whole lot worse if we'd lost both runouts. No luck with ace queen there. Let's hope for a little more luck with these ladies here under the gun. I make it $50 to go. Our resident podcaster Charlie makes the call on the button. The big blind calls as well. We go three ways to 7-6-6 with two spades. Big blind checks, and this isn't a great flop for my queens here, especially multi-way, so I check as well. Happy to see the button check it back. The straight completing 8 rolls off on the turn, and the big blind takes a very big stab here for $200. Don't love it, but of course not folding. The button gets out the way, and we'll go heads up to the ace on the river. The big blind checks, and he's definitely capable of check raising with a strong hand here, but he's also very capable of check calling with a worse hand, so I decide to go for value. I bet out for $300, and after just a few seconds he makes the call. I show, and he mucks his hand. Really happy with my river value bet here. It's super easy to just check back on the ace, but I feel like I've got the best hand often enough, so I throw out the value bet. It gets called, and I scoop in my first real pot of the day. Next up, I'm in the middle blind with a king and a jack of the unsuited variety. The hijack is limp for $20. The button pops it to $110, and I make a little bit of a loose call, but it can't be terrible here. The limper calls as well. We go three ways to king, queen, 7, all clubs. The button bets out for $240. Really big bet on this monotone board. I make the call, hoping the limper folds, which he does. Heads up to the turn, it's an offsuit 6. I check, and when the button checks back, I'm pretty sure I've got the best hand now. A semi-connected 8 hits the river, but I still think I'm good very often here. I throw out a bet of $450, and my opponent immediately tells me that he doesn't love it. Really happy to hear that. He asks if I'm bluffing. I sit there still as a statue. He does eventually make the call, and when I show my hand, he mucks his. We've got another winner coming our way. A nice couple of pots coming my way, slowly climbing out of that early hole we found ourselves in. And next up isn't a massive pot, but it's a very sentimental one for me. When I was a kid, my mum one day grabbed a deck of cards, sat me and my siblings down, and we invented a card game. You pick two cards, any two cards, and the dealer simply turns the deck face up one by one until your two cards come out in a row. So if I pick 10-8, for example, and a 10 comes out, followed immediately by an 8, then I win. Now, the key to the game is when one of your cards come out, you scream the house down for the other. It was such a fun game that has now become a Blackwood family tradition every Christmas, and the first ever winning combo of this game was Jack 5, and thus the name of the game is Jack 5. So every time I'm at the tables in LA and I get dealt Jack 5, I always think of my wee mum back in Scotland and smile. Next up, I'm in the $40 straddle with, you guessed it, Jack 5. It falls round to the 20 who calls. I'm all gooey-eyed and homesick as I check back. The flop comes down ace Jack 3 to give me middle pair, and when my opponent stabs, I of course make the call. On the 4 turn, he bets again for $160. I call once more, praying for a deuce, but the 7 river actually goes check, check, and I win. Mum, I know you're watching, and that one is for you. All right, moving on now, and I'm in the $20 straddle with King 9 of diamonds. Middle position is opened up, the hijack calls, as does the button, as does the big blind, and I of course come along for the ride as well. We go many ways to 8-4 deuce with 2 diamonds. The big blind leads out for $100. I make the call with my 2 overs and my flush draw, and the original raiser then bumps it up to $350. The big blind makes the call, and I fake tank for a few seconds to rep something other than a flush draw and make the call. The turn is a 3, big blind checks, and I toyed with the idea of leading out here, but we're all too shallow, so I decided to check. Really happy to see middle position check back. Even happier to see the most wonderful 10 of diamonds just bang off on the river to give me the second nuts. And when the big blind checks, I decided to get a little greedy here and move all in for $1,300 effective. A snap fold from MP and a snap fold from the big blind. Maybe being a bit results oriented here, but could probably bet smaller and try and get a crying call. Not sure. Either way, it's another big pot coming my way on a bit of a heater, you could say. And next up, I'm in the middle blind with 7-5 of spades. The button raises to $100, and I do that thing I said I wasn't going to do in the introduction today and play a little bit too loose and make the call. We're about 4k effective here, and when the flop comes down 9-6-4, I am dreaming of winning a huge one if I can get the right turn. I check and the button bets $115. I decide to just call to the turn. No straight from me, but I do make a pair. I check and the button then bets again, this time for $330. To be honest, I'd probably have check folded the turn unimproved, but with the pair, I now have enough equity to make the call. To the river, no bueno, it's a 9. I check and the button thinks for about 30 seconds before checking back. I show my hand and I'm actually good. Didn't expect to win that one, but very, very happy to do so, riding this heater all the way back out of the hole into Profitville for the day now. Next hand, I'm in the middle blind with ace king of hearts. Beautiful starting hand here. The cutoff opens to $60. The button puts in a very quick re-raise to $200, and I put in my first cold 4-bet of the trip to $700. The button makes the call. We're pretty deep here, and we go heads up to the flop with $1,500 in there, and it is ace high. So happy to make top pair. I bet $350. Very small c-bet here, hoping to get the button to continue in some form. He does so in the form of a call. To the turn, it's the 9 of diamonds. I see no reason not to keep betting. I announce $900. The button moves all in for $1,800 total, so it's only $900 more. I of course make the call. We once again agree to run it twice. Don't love that queen of spades on the first one bet. The other river is the queen of hearts, and he turns over 10-8 of spades. Once again, I'm super happy to be chopping here after losing the first one and finding a big hold on the second one. Running it twice has saved me a ton of money today. I always seem to lose the first one. Next up, I'm in the small blind with 9-7 suited. Nice little suited one gapper for us here. The cutoff is limp for $20. The button raises to $100. I decide to make the call, as does the limper. 3 ways to the flop. It is 10-9-7 with 2 diamonds. The ugliest 2 pair I've ever seen in my life. The cutoff actually decides to lead out here for $300. The button makes a call. I decide to just flat call here. Lots of bad turns 3 ways. To the turn, it's a 10. My 2 pair are officially counterfeited, but kind of happy to see it check round. The 6 rolls off on the river to turn my 2 pair into complete mush, and when we check to the button, he bets $700. Now, we're really quite deep here, so if this was versus Sunny92 and Big Stealer on Poker Stars, I'd use my boat blockers to rip it in, but I don't think that's a great idea playing live poker here, so I just let it go. The cutoff calls, and these guys both show rivered straights to chop it up. I was was down $2,300, then I was up 1k, about even for the day, and I love these swings. It is a very tough game today, but I'm absolutely loving the challenge of playing in it. And next up, I'm in the straddle with King Queen offsuit. The small blind calls. The middle blind makes it 110 to go. I could re-raise, but I decide to just call. The limper calls as well. We go three ways to ace jack 3 with 2 hearts, gut shot, and a backdoor flush draw for me. The middle blind bets $150. Raising is definitely fine here and barreling off on heart turns, but I decide to just smooth call. Happy to keep the small blind in. Sure enough, he does make the call as well. Now, we missed our gut shot to the nuts earlier with King Queen. I'll make you guys a deal. If I can find a miracle 10 on the turn here to give me the nuts straight, the 60% or so of you who are unsubscribed watching this have got to pause the video and take 8 seconds out of your day to click that sub button. Deal? Deal. Is he balancing his sub requests? Is he unbalanced? Let's find out. Oh my god, the turn is a 10! Beautiful turn here, and the middle blind bets again for $575. We're quite deep, so raising is definitely fine, but I decide to just call. Super trappy here from me. To the river, it's the 7 of hearts. I don't love it, but the middle blind snap checks. I doubt he's doing this with a flush, and the ace of hearts is out there, and I have a flush blocker, so I think this is a very, very easy value bet. I settle on $1,200. Happy to see my opponent immediately look uncomfortable when I bet. It tells me that I've got the best hand, and after 30 seconds or so, he makes the call. I turn over my hand, and he mucks his biggest pot of the day coming my way. Poor guy told me later that he had pocket aces. Low-key wishing that I'd raised on the turn there. Gone from being stuck $2,300 to having a very nice day now, but we're not done yet. There's still money to be made. And even though we've got a pretty reggy game, we've somehow agreed to a round of $80 straddles. The button is the $80 here. I am in the cutoff of pocket 7s, and the hijack pots it to $220. Again, we're about 4k effective, so I flat call, hoping to see if I can flop a set. We go heads up to the flop, and time kind of stands still as that 7 of hearts just stares at me for a moment before the dealer fans out the flop. Bottom set on a wet board, super deep, and my opponent is c-betting for $300. Talk about a dream spot. I don't waste any time in raising here. It's such a wet board. If it was king 7 deuce, I would just call, but I pop it to $1,300, trying to commit his strong hands and his draws, but it's a disaster spot as he very, very quickly folds a king face up. Really, really disappointed to see that. Maybe my raise was too big, who knows. Still, it's another decent pot coming my way, can't complain at all. On to our final hand of the day, and I'm on the button in the $80 straddle with pocket 10s. The cutoff completes, I make it $300 to go, and he makes the call. To the flop, it is jack high, all clubs. I do not have a club in my hand, so when the cutoff checks, I decide to just check this one back. The turn is a red 4, and he absolutely bombs it. I just let my hand go, and he's kind enough to show me that he actually flopped the second nuts. It's been a very, very good day of poker, but after 6 or 7 hours, I'm completely beat. I rack up my $3,085 profit, tap the table, and head off to the cashier.
No photography, sir.
You got me good there. All right, trips, that is going to do it for today. $3,085 profit. Very happy with that indeed. Pretty tough game today. Everybody was 3-betting and 4-betting and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm really happy to come out on top. Yeah, that'll do it for this one. I'll see you in the next one.